Hey everybody, welcome to this expert training session with my good friend and publisher and best-selling author, Alinka Rutkowska. Alinka, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent, Jesse. Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Glad to have you. And for anybody that's not already aware of who Alinka is, she's the founder of Leaders Press. She works with business leaders and executives to create best-selling books. She's also a multi-time author of How I Sold 80,000 Books, author of numerous children's titles. She'll tell us more about some of the other exciting books that she's written. And she's also a go-to person on how to launch your book and do it right, hit the bestseller lists, and drive book sales across the life of that title. So glad to have her and glad to bring her to you for your benefit. And let's jump into it.
Super. Thank you, Jesse.
Sure thing. Maybe you could give a little overview of Leaders Press and what you do. I'm particularly interested to hear, how you work with business executives and founders and CEOs to create a book in the most sort of turnkey way possible, because they're busy people, but create the book with them based on their experience.
Sure. At Leaders Press, we help entrepreneurs turn their book ideas into bestsellers, and we actually have a 100% bestseller launch rate. So every book we launch becomes a bestseller in its category on Amazon. What we need is an entrepreneur who comes in with an idea, and from that idea, we're able to create an outline for the book, interview the entrepreneur, and get that ghostwritten, published, packaged so that it becomes a bestseller and launched on the market. So that's a pretty exciting process. I know if it's somebody's first book, that's super thrilling to not just become an author, but to become a best-selling author. I know that because once upon a time, I wrote my first book, and I also get feedback from entrepreneurs that we work with who are super thrilled to have their books out. The process is smooth because it takes about 12 hours of your time to do that. It's 12 hours of interview time, and then we take care of everything. So some entrepreneurs are more hands-on, some are more hands-off, but basically you could potentially just read the book at the end and say, this is perfect, and then we launch it. So there's no pain involved, because many authors tell me how painful it was to write the book, how long it took, how difficult it was to find the editor, the proofreader, and to learn about publishing. So this completely this is removed. So it's very easy, and the whole process takes about 5 months from the moment we start to work together to the moment you become a best-selling author.
That's pretty exciting. And it's interesting, because I know you deal with other authors who do have that experience of it's so painful to write the book and it takes so long. What are some of the authors that you've worked with where you've written the book have to say about the experience? Like, it seems like you make it super easy for them, but still provide like a really great product and reading experience at the end.
Right. Yeah. When you go to leaderspress.com, there are all those testimonials that you can read. But basically, the most common are that this was so easy. It was so easy to do. A bunch of interviews, and then snap, the book is out, and what was promised was delivered. They have the book, whether it's a lead generation tool or a lead conversion tool to give to prospects, who are considering working with the company but are on the fence, then that's a great tool that helps them make up their mind. Or in some cases, it's a legacy piece. So some of the entrepreneurs we work with are no longer looking for leads. They've achieved just incredible accomplishments in their lives, and they want to give back. There's a saying, if you've achieved it, you have an obligation to teach it. Some people think so. And in many ways, it's a way of giving back. For example, right now we're working with Mr. Po Chung. He's the co-founder of DHL International, and this is not a lead generation piece, of course. It's a giving back which teaches how to create a global company from scratch. And it's just so great to learn about these stories. It's very inspiring, to hear that Mr. Chung 50 years ago was both the founder or co-founder of DHL International and the mailman. So he tells a story where he put co-founder on his business card so that he could get through, past the assistants of the CEOs of the companies that he was talking to, so that they would just let him into the CEO's office. That's why he put founder on the business card. But then the assistant would say, you don't actually have to do the shipping paperwork with us. You can just send your mail person. And he said, well, that's me. I'm both the founder and the mailman. And he did that for several years. And he didn't even have his own means of transportation. He used public transportation. So it's just so inspiring to learn about the hustle and how he was able to, from that and, combating with the postal office, right? Because they were feeling threatened. So just so many obstacles. And he was able to bring this, together with the others, but he was one of the major leaders. He was able to bring this into this amazing company that we all know, DHL. And I think if you're listening to this, you'll be inspired that what you're doing can one day become a version of this. Whether it's writing a book, it could become a series of amazing books, or whether it's growing a business, the little startup that you're involved in right now could become a huge conglomerate in 50 years. So yes, a lot of exciting things happening.
Yeah, I was just, as you're sharing that story, it must be a really fun aspect of what you do to hear the stories directly from the founders and the people that lived through them kind of before everybody else, and help shape that message through the book writing and development process. Maybe you can give us a little insight into, like, when you come into, let's say, with Po Chung from DHL, how do you start that conversation to get out the content you need to make the book? Or how do you collaboratively think about, like, the structure and the outline? Or do you just start asking questions and see where the conversation leads? I think people watching this may be interested, because as they're writing their book proposals, and in some cases writing their books now, to get that insight from the top of the food chain, as it were.
There are different types of authors, different personalities. Mr. Chung is very prepared. So when we work with him, he came to us with a mind map that was huge. And then we took that mind map and we put it into an outline that he then added to, because he sent us another mind map. So he's very organized and very prepared. I think, it's just who he is. And that's one of the reasons why he managed to create a company such as DHL. Most of the authors that we work with won't come with a mind map. They'll come with an idea and a framework that they have. So that usually becomes the outline. We first start talking about the goals. What's the author's goal? Is it to give back, right? Is it to share their wisdom with other entrepreneurs and to inspire them, not to give up, to keep doing what they're doing, to share what's working? Or is it to create a lead generation tool or a lead conversion tool, something that you want to give to your prospects? So depending on the goals, we create that book. If it's a lead generation tool, we have to be careful not to be too salesy, because a lead generation tool is meant to create leads, generate leads, but you don't really want to feel like people are sold to when they read the book. You want to give away valuable information. So as an example, Outsource Your Book is created as a lead generation tool as well. In this book, I share 17 steps needed in order to create a best-selling book. And in each of those steps, I also say where people can go to outsource them. And then in the end, I say, why go and outsource each of the 17 steps and become the project manager of this whole project? It's better to work with us and we'll take care of it. So that's how it's a lead generation tool. But it doesn't say, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff on every page. It's a valuable content. And then naturally, many people will say, well, but okay, this is great. These are all the things I need to do. But I don't want to do all these things. I have my own business to run. I want somebody else to do these things for me. So then there's an easy way for them to be able to do that. So that's how a lead generation tool, how a lead generation book works.
And that's super helpful and smart what you did with Outsource Your Book. Right? You actually teach people how to do the whole process, but then just say, if you want somebody to do all this for you, essentially, then we can do that. But how does that differ from looking at a book like a legacy piece where, I imagine DHL doesn't need more customers sending packages because they've written a book, right? But it's more about sharing and celebrating the success of the overall company. Is that a different approach from your view?
It probably depends on where the author is at. Usually if the author is still operational, it's a lead generation tool. If the author is retired, it's a legacy piece. And then, of course, in a lead generation tool, we will naturally want to put in some subliminal messaging as to, why people should work with the author. Whereas in a legacy piece, it's, there's not much selling really, unless the author wants to do consulting. But in many occasions, they don't. They're done. They want to enjoy their retirement in a way, and the act of writing a book is fulfilling. And then having that book, share their wisdom, so them being able to reach so many more people than they would ever be able to one-on-one, that's the reward in itself. So I think it's just a legacy piece would be a little bit linked to a memoir, I would say, whereas a lead generation book wouldn't. So, Outsource Your Book or How I Sold 80,000 Books or lead generation books, there's not much about me, memoir-wise. What we're doing for Mr. Chung, you will see a lot of his, initial struggles, the story I shared with you, him as the founder and mailman, struggling. That's more of a, memoir type of piece. So that's the main difference. But the excitement of writing the book is the same in both cases.
Nice. Well said. So for everybody watching that's, in the process of creating their book and looking to get a publishing deal, looking to get, marketing and coaching support, looking to get access to masterminds and some of the other prizes, here that are on the earlier stage of the process, if you had one piece of advice to help them write the best book possible or the best, most compelling proposal based on your experience of working with so many authors across the spectrum, what do you think that would be?
I think give it away your secrets. I don't see why you need to hold anything back. I don't hold anything back and outsource your book. Everything I do, I wrote there. And I'm not afraid that somebody will say, well, I've got the book, so thank you very much. In some cases, people can read the book, apply everything that I share, and, run with it. And I'm glad, I'm making an impact, right? I'm able to impact somebody's lives with the book that I wrote. So that's really exciting, for me. But in many cases, people will feel like, that's a lot of work. Those 17 steps, they all require a lot of know-how, connections, although I do share my connections here as well. But it can be overwhelming to actually put all that in place. So, I've been reading Seth Godin's book, This is Marketing, and he says, share your ideas freely. That shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't stop you. Share your ideas. People will still come to you for the execution part. They will still want to work with you for you to be able to execute that for them.
I think that's a great tip. And yeah, or even if they don't want the execution, they'll come because they believe that you know exactly what you're doing because you share the real goods in the book, as opposed to holding it back or just giving a teaser or just giving, part of the solution. So
right, in the
advice.
world of copywriting, they talk about the steak and the sizzle, right? So, the copy used to be all sizzle and very little steak. I think the book should be all steak.
Nice. Well said. So let's maybe shift gears a little and look at some, marketing is a big part of writing a great book proposal. Marketing and having a marketing plan, I think, is integral to having any success with a book. And you held up one of your other books, How I Sold 80,000 Books. Maybe you could share some of the steak from that book that authors watching this could chow down on.
Yeah. Well, there are 3 major secrets. And in this book, they're actually not presented as 3 secrets. In How I Sold 80,000 Books, I share 80,000 books, I share a framework. That's the marketing mix, the 4 Ps: product, place, price, and promotion. But you can actually read it here. So I think it makes more sense if I present it in a different way. The three major secrets, to a successful author life, I would say, is number 1, you need to find a lucrative niche. So find a niche where your book fits in and stands out. So just to give you an example, both of these books fit into the authorship category. Actually, I have another one that fits into the authorship category, Write and Grow Rich.
That was a big one.
Yeah, this is our USA Today Wall Street Journal bestseller.
I'd say any given week, I think all those books are somewhere in the authorship chart, which, probably reflects really well on you.
Yes. So they all fit in. They all fit into the authorship category. But now the book has to stand out. And obviously, when I wrote this one, this was back in 2015, there were other books on, authorship, which is good. It means that people are interested in it. You want other people, you want there to be other books, the so-called competing titles. So then you have to stand out. What's your unique selling proposition? In my case, it was the 4 Ps framework, so the marketing mix. The marketing mix itself is not new. It's a marketing concept, that students learn at Marketing 101, product, place, price, and promotion. But I just applied it to book marketing. And that's how it how it stood out. This book is 4 years old, and it funnels in people every day. After 4 years, I've updated it. I update it once a year. But it's just amazing how well books work as a lead generator. Then we did Write and Grow Rich, which again, is in the authorship area. And this one shares the wisdom of 24 authors in the space. And together we promoted it to hit the USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestseller list. But also the unique selling proposition is there. Nobody's ever done this before, sharing 24 people's book strategies. And this is the recent one, Outsource Your Book. So obviously there were already all those other books on authorship, but nobody's ever actually written a book on how to outsource that and where to go to outsource that and what to outsource. So this is it. And I'll tell you, when I did this book, I thought, I'm done. I don't have anything else to share. I don't have anything else to tell. I did my book for authors. And then I came up with this, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I think I've already shared everything. And then I thought, how about this one? And now I'm not done. I have another idea. There's another thing that I'm working on that I can't share yet because it's private and confidential. But it probably won't be. This time next year when we talk, I'll be able to share that. So, once you do one book, more ideas come. All of these fit into the authorship category, and each of them has a unique selling proposition. That's number one. Then it's you need to orchestrate a structured launch. The launch is key. If you don't do a launch, like if you come to me after you've launched your book, a month after the launch, I will say, there's not much we can do. You killed the book. You killed the book already. So we need to meet before the book launch, because the launch is the number one most important thing. That's how the Amazon algorithm starts understanding that your book is popular. There's specific things to do to promote the book. Number one is, as soon as the book is out, you need to mail. You need to drive traffic to it, so that the Amazon algorithm so that the algorithm sees that this book is getting more and more popular every day. So you need to have promotions scheduled for every day of the launch. That's really important. And then build momentum on that for ongoing sales. That's number two. And then number three, what you want to do is you want to turn your, one-time reader into a lifetime loyal subscriber and buyer. So, I work with authors, and there are plenty of authors who have all three of these books and more, and are part of the mastermind and do one-on-one coaching, and I'm doing a book for them. So it's all about building that back end. If you're a nonfiction author, so you have a business, or if you're a fiction author, it's all about creating more and more books, because those are your products that you then sell to people. So just build up the catalog of products that you have. And, somebody who buys something from you twice is much more valuable than somebody who buys something from you once. I just read that in this book here, Over Deliver by Brian Kurtz. So, I publish a lot of books, but I also read a lot of books by other people, right? You have to get some input into your head other than stuff that you produce. So those are the three things. Number one, write a book that fits in and stands out. Number two, orchestrate a structured launch. And number three, turn that one-time buyer into a lifetime subscriber and buyer.
Super helpful and solid advice for anybody watching. Think about that as you're working on your book proposal. Think about that as you're working on your book, and start thinking about that marketing and where the book leads in terms of somebody that reads the book and likes it and likes you. What do they do next? Where do they go? Alinka shared how people can go into one of our training programs, coaching, mastermind, and all the way up to doing a book for them. And having that thought process in place as you're working on the book, I think covers all the bases. It's the whole 360-degree approach to doing a book and having that book work for you and for your business over the long term, as well as make positive impact on the readers. So thank you, Alinka, for coming. And if you have something to share with the audience, go ahead and let them know what they can get access to from you, and then we'll wrap this up.
Cool. Well, I think this is the book that actually positioned myself as an expert in the space in 2015. So I recommend that everybody has something like this, a calling card for the company or for yourself as an expert, or it's the first of a series for a fiction author. So this is how I sold 80,000 books that you can get when you go to authorwisdom.com and outsource your book. You can get when you go to leaderspress.com. This is linked. This is more appropriate for people who don't actually want to do anything. They just want to outsource everything. So leaderspress.com will be the place to go, and then you can get yourself this book here.
Awesome.
And if we're a good fit, then I'd love to work together. That's always the most rewarding way to connect with authors.
Awesome. And I know you've contributed a prize to the writing contest. So everybody that enters the writing contest, if you're watching this and the contest entry is still open, don't miss your chance to win your share of up to $100,000 of publishing prizes. And if you've enjoyed Alinka's presentation and our talk here today, you have a chance to win an amazing prize from her only when you enter the contest. So, Alinka, you want to share a little bit about what that is?
Yes. So what we'll do is we'll do a strategy session. So we'll cover secret number 1. We'll make sure that your book is positioned correctly so that it fits into a lucrative category and it stands out. So this is the foundation of your book succeeding. We'll do that. And you'll also become part of my ongoing mastermind where we cover all the aspects of book marketing. So we mostly focus on launches and how to launch your book correctly so that it becomes a bestseller. And then we focus on secret number 3 as well, because launch is secret number 2. Secret number 3 is how to leverage that success and create more and more successful books and products and how to sell them. So we will cover all 3 secrets that I mentioned when you win that prize.
Yeah, well, there you have it, everybody. You get a chance to work with Alinka across all 3 secrets in her mastermind and get one-on-one coaching from her. It's one of the prizes, one of the great prizes that we have available as part of the Great American Writing Contest. So be sure to get your entry in for that. Thank you again, Alinka, for joining us. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value from this, and we'll see you in a future video.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.